All right, we're going to talk about the Miami Hurricanes today. And I know everybody's been saying that, oh, they're going to be great and, oh, they're just wonderful. And, Mario Cristobal is the best coach in the world, completely forgetting about how he had already won a game at one point and forgot to kneel the ball down, when he just had the game. So, but let's just forget about that. Yeah, he's a great recruiter, but yeah, he's just automatically going to win a national championship. I just completely disagree with that. I do not think that it is an automatic that he's going to win one, and we look at this roster and we say, oh, this roster, it's the greatest in the world and everything, when really it has a lot to be proven. Like, I mean, one of the starting offensive linemen is, Jackson Cantwell, which is going to be a true freshman. You can say that, he's going to be great, but how do you know that? You don't. You don't know it. You could say Mario Cristobal is the greatest, offensive line guy in the world. Well, people would have been saying the same thing about Mike Norvell, and he's having his struggles right now. I'm a Florida State fan, so I hope he turns it around. But you can't just say with automatic certainty that, oh, yeah, since, Mario Cristobal's had good offensive lines in the past, that he's going to have some now. Another guy that could possibly be the third receiver. Well, let's stay on the offensive line there for a minute. I forgot Bryce Fitzgerald, the projected right guard. He had a 57.1 Pro Football Focus grade according to PFF, and PFF says that an average player is 60. So that means that one of your starting offensive linemen, not only is one of them, I think Cantwell is either going to be the left or right tackle. You're going to have the right guard, Bryce Fitzgerald. He's got a below average PFF grade, and that's going to be a starter for you. But yeah, everything's just going to be fine. It could be, but just to assume all this is absolutely crazy to me. You have, let me get back to the receivers. You have maybe potentially Miami's third. This is the Miami Hurricanes. It's Miami, their third receiver, Vandrevius Jacobs. Like, oh, he had a couple 100-yard games, so I think he had 111 yards on 7 catches against Clemson. So, he had that in one game, so he's just going to have great games for the rest of his career. And, that's just not necessarily true. At Florida State, he couldn't even come to a team meeting, so he couldn't even show up to meetings on time. So, what is that? So he's just automatically going to start showing up on time at Miami. He couldn't show up to meetings and get the playbook down at South Carolina. So, I mean, he's just automatically going to show it all up because it's the Miami Hurricanes, because it's the green and orange on the shirt. It's just all going to be fine. I have my doubts on that. You have your center, Ryan Rodriguez. He couldn't even qualify for a PFF grade because he didn't have enough snaps. So, again, that's another limited experience player. You have Elijah Lofton, which is their projected Miami Hurricanes college football projected tight end, and Elijah Lofton. And I think he had 200 receiving yards total. I think it was 163. So, again, very, very limited production. But I guess to Miami fans, he's just going to be the best tight end in the world, So, again, evidence points, maybe not. You've got Lightfoot, the defensive end. He only had 25 tackles total, and only 3 sacks. Now, I know Mesidor and Bain were your starters, but even your backup, you kind of like to push to that 30 range, So Lightfoot, he's a decent player, but, with that increase in production, is he going to be great? Me being a Florida State fan, we had an example of this with Patrick Payton, which was our defensive end. He was really good. He had 47. So 47, if my math does me correct, is a lot. is a lot more than 25. And he had 47 total tackles and 7 sacks. And I was on here and I was saying, man, Patrick Payton's going to be the next great Florida State defensive end. But, it turned out that it was more due to Braden Fisk and Jared Verse's insane production than it was Patrick Payton, because Patrick Payton, Braden Fisk, the defensive tackle for Florida State, and Jared Verse, the defensive end for Florida State, took all the double teams and double coverages. Double teams, my bad, not double coverages, but they took all the double teams, and he was able to one-on-one pass rush, and that ultimately landed him with 47 tackles and, again, 7 sacks. So, again, you've got to look at it and you've got to be smart. When these guys, like in Miami's instance, when Mesidor and Bain, now that they're gone, is Lightfoot really just going to step up into this magical role? Because there's a chance that he's not. Same thing with Damon Wilson. He's almost a carbon copy of Patrick Payton. He had 23 combined tackles with 9 sacks. So that means almost half of his total combined tackles were just sacks. And so that tells you right there that it was specially packaged at him being at Missouri to be a pass rusher. Again, an every down guy that's going to be run at up the middle every time. That's a lot different than, say, just a package player. A lot of these guys, they don't have their endurance. They don't, because they're used to only playing a couple of snaps, getting that sack and getting off the field. It's a lot different when you have to play 50, 60 plays the whole game and, you ain't got breaks. You're like the basketball player that's raising his hand, please, coach, take me out. Please, coach, take me out. But there's nothing saving you. So, again, is Lightfoot and Damon Wilson, the 2 defensive ends that are projected to start for Miami, are they really going to step up to the plate? I'm not so sure, but we'll see. You have Chase Smith, which is their linebacker, one of their starting linebackers projected. Being honest with you, being a Florida State fan and being very experienced with average linebacker play, I can tell you that an average linebacker usually has about 50, tackles, and Chase Smith only had 31, so that's almost half the total tackles of an average linebacker. But he's going to be the next great. He's going to be Ray Lewis. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Then you have Fred Reek, the corner that all these Miami, beat writers are hyping up, saying, oh, he's going to be great. But if you watched him against Notre Dame, whether it was press man coverage or zone coverage, he was getting smoked every single time the quarterback for Notre Dame, number 13, I can't remember his name right now, but whether it was the deep ball or the slant route or the corner route, he was getting beat. So yeah, he's gonna be the next great corner. I'm not so sure. Again, I would have to disagree. And you look at. My bad. I was looking at this. Bryce Fitzgerald is not the right guard that I was thinking of. Hold on. I was trying to look at this. There was the right guard had a 57.1 PFF grade, but that was not Bryce Fitzgerald. My bad. I can't remember the right guard's name. Bryce Fitzgerald is their safety that I was thinking of, and he only had 16 total tackles at safety, which again, with me being a Florida State fan, him only having 16 tackles, I can tell you that an average safety at least needs about 40 tackles to, be good of anything, and 16 is just not going to cut it. You're going to get smoked being the help coverage on a receiver. And Miami fans' retort to that is that Armore Thornton with like 90 tackles is going to make up for everything. And while he is a great player coming over, hard hitter from Boston College, you can't just make up for everything. You just can't. He can be good, but that doesn't mean, you don't need your other safety positions, because there's at least 1 to 2 other safeties on the field at the same time. I'm sorry, guys, I can't think of the guy's name, but the projected right guards, I don't know his name, but he only had a 57.1 PFF grade, which again 60 is average on PFF. Anyways, guys, I laid out about 10 points on that, and is Miami going to be really good? All these Miami fans, they say, it's 12-0. It's national championship, and I will have to say I really like their receivers. Their 2 receivers, Malachi Toney and Cooper Barkate, having over 1,000 yards. That's really good, especially when you factor in that Darian Mensah is going to be a better quarterback. Again, I do agree that Darian Mensah is a better quarterback than Carson Beck, but I just think that like last year's Miami offensive line, it was special, man. You can't discount that. It was very, very good, and just to think that it's just going to be automatically replaced and everything's going to be fine is foolish. Me being a Florida State fan, I've got experience when you guys all remember Jameis Winston, and when we won the national championship and all of our offensive linemen and the full offense went to the NFL, I just thought, oh yeah, next year it's just going to be the same thing. And that next year's offensive line was a lot, it was the same people, but it wasn't the same results. And now Miami's going to have different people, so just because something happened one year doesn't mean it's going to happen another year. That's all I'm saying, guys. There needs to be more evaluation on the actual players instead of just saying, oh, this is what happened last year, and so then that means this is what's going to happen the following year, because it never happens that way. I'm hoping to provide insight on the actual players and the actual analysis, and I appreciate you guys listening. Please like and subscribe. This has been another episode of Tyson Sports.